All right, so guys, what we've got here is full predictions for every single bowl game. A few weeks left of the regular season, I believe 3 weeks, and then we've got the conference championships, and then we've got the bowls. So I'm going to be reacting to it. How is it shaking out? This is just one prediction. We're going to talk about these matchups. What is intriguing to our eyes? Let's look through it. We've got the Little Bahamas Bowl. It's a tradition. We kick it off with the Bahamas Bowl. FAU and Eastern Michigan. Kind of a dud on that one, honestly, guys. The Cure Bowl, Western Kentucky and Marshall. You want to talk about a contrast of styles in that one. Marshall, defensive-minded team. Western Kentucky, coming off a brutal beating. They've been playing better. They've got a really good offense. They throw the ball around everywhere. The Fenway Bowl. Yes, they turned Fenway Park into an NFL stadium. Pittsburgh and UCF. Wow, boy, that would be a downgrade for UCF. I think UCF deserves a little bit of a better bowl. That is mildly disrespectful. That's not right, folks. Come on, UCF deserves a better bowl than that. The New Mexico Bowl, the battle for New Mexico. How about Air Force taking on BYU? That'll be an offensive game. That would be very good. You'd be talking about a 42-35 win for Air Force, guys. Trust Air Force in that type of game. The LA Bowl. I think that's that Jimmy Kimmel, little Jimmy Kimmel thing, whatever. That is Washington State and Boise State. Boise State playing better of late, but they dropped that unfortunate game against BYU. Washington State, they've been scoring. They've got an explosive offense. I like that matchup. The Lending Tree Bowl. Boy, I would feel bad, for whoever has to participate in this. Ohio and Appalachian State, great matchup. Ohio has a really good quarterback. We've got the Las Vegas Bowl. It is Utah versus Mississippi State. Guys, am I missing something? Utah in that bowl? That's just disrespectful. The Frisco Bowl, Southern Miss and Wyoming, lower scoring, very low scoring. Myrtle Beach Bowl, Middle Tennessee versus Georgia Southern. Oh, that's great. That's a 62-55 type game, guys. The Idaho Bowl, we've got Buffalo and San Jose State. Buffalo, they were good there in the MAC, and then they recently lost. San Jose State, the no-fly zone, amazing defense. We love San Jose State. Boca Raton Bowl, Coastal Carolina and Liberty. There's a fun little matchup for sure. 2 one-loss teams right there. That'd be fun. New Orleans Bowl, UTSA versus Troy. Another good contrast. Troy's got a very good defense. You've got Frank Harris. You've got that good UTSA offense. That's a good matchup. Armed Forces Bowl, Texas Tech versus SMU. Higher scoring. SMU's been scoring a ton. Texas Tech, they're always in shootouts. Independence Bowl, Army against Houston. Wow. I'd have to take Houston. I like Houston, guys. We all know Houston's defense is not the best. We know that. Trust me, we know. Oh my goodness. We've got whatever this is, Memphis versus Duke. That's a bland match. That's probably the worst bowl. That is not good. Hawaii Bowl. Hawaii, they should reserve Hawaii University, and we should have the Hawaii Bowl, and it's Hawaii versus Florida International. And it would get big ratings. It would beat out an NFL game in ratings. Hawaii versus FIU in the Hawaii Bowl. That's what we need. San Diego State, UAB. I'd take UAB. San Diego State doesn't have a good enough offense. The Quick Lane Bowl. So Michigan State, now that they beat Illinois, they're probably going to get to 6-6. They're probably going to go bowling, and this would be the bowl. This is like the worst Big Ten bowl, I believe, is the Quick Lane Bowl. It's the game at the Detroit Lions Stadium. Michigan State versus Toledo would beat Michigan State, certainly. Certainly they would. Certainly, I'm sorry they would. We've got Miami of Ohio versus South Alabama. South Alabama would wipe the floor with Miami of Ohio. North Texas versus Kansas. That's a fun one. Oh, please give me that. Please give me that. Miami versus Cincinnati. Isn't that game, the Birmingham Bowl, that's in Alabama. That's like, that's been apparently the worst bowl location. And they're saying Miami has to go there and face Cincinnati. Miami's had, you know what, Miami, these NIL programs, they're dumpster fires. Miami, obsessed with NIL, they're a dumpster fire. A&M, obsessed with NIL, they're a dumpster fire. Purdue versus Oklahoma. I'll take Oklahoma to hammer Purdue. Purdue has a horrible offense. We've got Louisville versus East Carolina. That's a good one. Louisville is a very... Louisville is not what you would think they would be. You look at Louisville and they're like this fun team with this dual threat quarterback, but they're actually a defensive minded team with a good pass rush. I like what Louisville's doing. And East Carolina, you know, they're 6-3. They've got a huge game versus Cincinnati. We'll see. Maybe they can get even to a better bowl. What is this, the Liberty Bowl? Missouri versus Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, the wheels have fallen off. Missouri sucks. That's a terrible bowl. Probably the second worst bowl I've seen here. Florida State versus Washington. The Holiday Bowl, a great tradition. Yes, Florida State, they're on a warpath. Washington, they throw the ball all over the place. That's a great matchup. How about the Texas Bowl? The battle for Texas. Trust Baylor football. They're facing Arkansas. They would beat Arkansas very easily. Arkansas has horrible run defense. The Pinstripe Bowl, the game at Yankee Stadium. They've got it Syracuse versus Minnesota. And I like Minnesota. I think Syracuse would struggle to score here, folks. I think it might be like 13-3 type game. You get a little snowfall at Yankee Stadium. Maybe Aaron Judge signs his new contract with the Yankees. He comes out and does a little coin flip or something. That would be a nice game there. Next, we've got the Cheez-It Bowl. Kansas State, North Carolina. Kansas State is a real streaky team. I'm sure North Carolina would be pissed. Right now, they have one loss. North Carolina thinks, and their fan base, and they have a right to think this, they're saying, listen, we're making a New Year's Six Bowl. We're beating Clemson in the ACC Championship. We'll have to see. I think North Carolina's got major issues on defense, and they're going to lose this week to Wake Forest. But we'll see what happens. I think that's fair to give them the Cheez-It Bowl. I think it's fair. The Alamo Bowl, Texas versus UCLA. That's a great matchup. Oh, I love that. Quinn Ewers versus Chip Kelly. That's must-see TV. The Duke's Mayo Bowl, Maryland versus NC State. NC State would win that game. Let's be real, folks. The Sun Bowl, Wake Forest and Oregon State. I like Wake Forest in that game. Oregon State does not have a good enough quarterback, although Wake Forest cannot run the ball, so we would see. The Gator Bowl, Notre Dame versus Florida. I think Notre Dame's going to get into a better bowl than that, I would assume. Facing Florida? Is the SEC that down? I don't think Florida would get to a bowl with Notre Dame. Florida is not good. The Arizona Bowl, Bowling Green versus Fresno State. Oh my God. It might be 62-0. Fresno State is on a warpath. They're a top 10 team at this point. They're saying, listen, we didn't have our starting quarterback. We still think we have a shot at the playoff, even though we've lost 4 games. Their fan base, they think they can make the playoff. I respect it. We'll see what happens. The Music City Bowl, Iowa versus South Carolina. I mean, listen, it's just tough to... this is a horrible game. My goodness. We've got Kentucky versus Wisconsin. Another bad game. Will Levis, we'll see. Imagine Will Levis sits out this game. He probably will. This is the Citrus. So this is a good bowl. This is an exclusive bowl. Illinois versus Ole Miss. You know, that's a contrast of styles right there. We'll see what Illinois can do coming off their really disappointing loss. They need to bounce back badly. I believe they host Purdue and they're 7-point favorites. Ole Miss is probably going to lose it against Alabama, but we'll see. And then now we get into the New Year's Six Bowls. So the Orange Bowl, they've got it as Clemson versus Alabama. LOL. You want to talk about the most depressing New Year's Six Bowl for both of these teams? They're playing in a New Year's Six Bowl, but they both expect to make the playoff, especially Alabama, man. We all thought Alabama and Ohio State were locks to make the playoff, and Alabama, it's close road losses that's really killed them. it is possible Alabama loses another game to Ole Miss and doesn't even make a New Year's Six bowl. The Sugar Bowl, LSU versus TCU. Fun little matchup there. We'll have to see. They're expecting LSU to probably win out and then lose to Georgia, so they would be a 3-loss team, but they would have a really good resume. And then TCU is probably a 1 or a 2-loss team at this point. Obviously, if TCU goes undefeated, they will be making the playoff 100%. We have the Rose Bowl. They're going to go with Michigan versus USC. So that's kind of been the common prediction recently, Michigan and USC. The caveat to this whole situation, if Michigan loses a really close game to Ohio State, they're a 1-loss team. Would they possibly still have a chance at making the playoff, or will the horrible non-conference kill them? That is a storyline to follow. The Cotton Bowl, Tulane versus Penn State. So this game reminds me of about 3 years ago. I think it was Micah Parsons' last game with Penn State because he sat out 2020. Penn State faced Memphis, and like Journey Brown had a huge game. Penn State crushed Memphis. It's very similar vibes facing Tulane there. Tulane is certainly the favorite Group of 5 team to reach a New Year's Six bowl. And now we have the playoff semifinals, and we've got, oh my God, please no. Please, no, nothing like this. Nothing, not again. We've seen this before. We don't need a redo. We do not need a redo. They've got the Peach Bowl. It's a neutral site game in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's Georgia versus Oregon. This was literally the week 1 matchup. A neutral site game in Atlanta, Georgia. We don't need a redo. Please, no. Nothing like that. No. And then they do have Tennessee making it. So they've got Tennessee as a 1-loss team that doesn't make the SEC championship, but they make the playoff as a 1-loss team. And I love that matchup. Tennessee versus Ohio State would be really fun. Wow, that'd be really fun to see. And then they do have the national championship, Ohio State versus Georgia, for whatever you want that to be worth. It is what it is. I would assume, Ohio State and Georgia would be the 2 favorites. So their playoffs, they've got Oregon winning out. And even after that week 1 loss, they have Oregon making the playoff. And I don't think they would do that. Guys, I'll be honest with you. I think they would put, this is where Michigan's non-conference schedule gets really concerning for Michigan fans because it's so bad. They're not going to want to reward that. But at the same time, do we really need to see a retread of this game exactly the same where it's a neutral site game, the Peach Bowl? Another one of these sham games that's in Atlanta, Georgia, between Georgia and Oregon. I don't think they would do that. I think that, but then do we get another rematch of Georgia and Michigan where Georgia just thrashes Michigan again? So, what we really would probably, it's tough, guys. This is not, the issue is, really, no matter who Georgia faces, whoever that 4th team is, it looks like it's going to be a blowout right now. Because it's like Michigan, TCU, or Oregon. And it's like, it's almost like I would rather Georgia face Utah, honestly. I think Utah's a really good team, but I know they have 2 losses. They're not going to make it. But it is interesting to think about. And then the other situation, here's the thing. If Michigan beats Ohio State in a close game, Ohio State does have a better non-conference. Would they put Ohio State in over? I think 100% I think they would. Because there's the more attractive matchup by 1,000,000%. And guys, this is not me being biased or anything like that. The more attractive matchup is Ohio State versus Georgia in round 1. If Ohio State loses to Michigan in a close game and they get the 4 seed, and they would keep Oregon out. Because we don't need to see Georgia-Oregon in a retread game. So I think that's what they would do. But it is interesting. We'll have to see. A lot of this depends on, Ohio State needs Notre Dame to keep winning. If they were to lose to Michigan, they would need help. They would need TCU to lose. It will be interesting to follow, guys. Just wanted to go through all the bowl predictions here with 3 weeks of the regular season left. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.